Hi, this is the Stress Detox podcast, and I'm your host, Edie Goditis. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I am a stress management and embodiment coach, a yoga, breathwork, and meditation facilitator. I lead retreats, workshops, series, online programs, and I'm also a best-selling author. Today, I am speaking about stress and sleep. They are directly linked, so you might want to tune in. Um, I used to struggle with sleep a lot, especially when I was navigating burnout and when I was navigating super high levels of stress that truthfully were self-imposed. Sleep is one of the foundations of our health and well-being. Rest is a very key component of our health and well-being. So when our sleep is compromised, a lot of other aspects of how we show up can be compromised as well. So when we're thinking of sleep, it's very important that we notice what our routine is before bed. This was massive for me and shifting from really restless sleeps or even like insomnia in some cases to enjoying a much deeper REM cycle and waking up feeling rested instead of sleeping 8 or 10 hours and waking up still feeling exhausted. So, in a recent episode, I spoke with the Foundations for Nervous System Regulation. One of the components or foundations was orienting, and I encourage this for sleep as well. When you're thinking of bedtime mode, notice your environment as you're getting ready for bed. Notice the lighting of the space that you're in, noticing sounds of the space you're in. Notice the smell of the space that you're in. Really tune into your senses, noticing music, lighting, temperature of the room. If you're watching TV, then I encourage you to notice what are you consuming. So noticing uh, the quality of the show or the movie. Notice if it's like action filled, if it's the news. Those often can be like adrenaline triggering. Um, or notice if it's a little bit more easeful for the mind, where it's more easy to watch. Like for example, I don't know, Planet Earth. Those episodes, those videos are often super fascinating and they're quite calming for the mind for watching compared to like a high action movie that has a lot of violence in it, for example. So just notice the quality if you're watching TV at night, what you're watching and how close it is to bedtime. And notice too with that, for consumption, notice if you're listening to music or if you're listening to podcasts, like what is the music you're listening to? Is it super intense, upbeat, high energy? Can you maybe shift to more softer, relaxing music? Maybe binaural beats. There are a lot of like sleep meditation options for music just to help the body down regulate. If you're reading something, noticing the quality of the content. What is it about? Again, is it super intense material? Is it something that's quite triggering and is triggering anxiety and adrenaline and fear? Or is it something that's more uplifting and interesting, but isn't like keeping you on the edge of your seat, wondering what's happening or potentially going to give you nightmares because of whatever the storyline is? Also noticing the quality of your conversations. What conversations are you engaging in? Right? What dialogue are you participating in? Is it again something that's quite triggering? Or is it something that is more relaxing, more spacious, that you really enjoy, that is inspiring and uplifting, but isn't going to wake you up per se? And it's not super intense and activating in terms of like causing an argument. So noticing the dialogue. Something I love to do and that I've learned from mentors is really reflecting every night, like, what are three things I'm celebrating from the day? What are some gains from the day? And they don't have to be work related, it can be any aspect of life. But what are some things I'm celebrating? What am I grateful for? And I write them out, and sometimes I say them out loud if I'm with a friend or with my dad or something like that, having dinner. Like, we talk about these things, and it's uplifting and it's inspiring and it fosters a deeper sense of connection. So notice what you're thinking in your conversations and as you're reading or as you're watching TV or listening to podcasts or music or the news or whatever. And if you do have a writing practice, again, this is something that I love to do, is super simple, just jotting down what are the three gains for the day? What are the three things I'm grateful for? And it becomes a practice where we're excited and we look forward to writing it down, and it's something positive and it's something expansive. And so for our body, it's communicating safety and it's communicating possibility, and it's helping our mind look at the good that happened in the day instead of continuing to only focus on something negative that happened. Because 9 times out of 10, again, we are biologically hardwired for survival. It is more often that we will look at what didn't go well, or losses, or failures, or fears, than we will look at all of the gains and the things we're excited about. So I encourage you to shift that narrative and explore writing down something more positive and uplifting. And you can also get in the practice. This is something I do as well as some friends as well. Writing down like three goals that you know above anything else you want to accomplish the next day. And again, they don't have to all be work related, but it can be a really helpful tool to ease some of the thoughts of the mind if you are noticing you're feeling a little bit anxious about what's coming up. Writing down, like, what are three things I know I really want to get through? And then with that, if there's still a lot of busyness in the mind, another thing you can do is just brain dump, write everything down, let it all come out, get it all on the paper, look at it objectively. This helps neutralize it. So we release the charge. And then we can see it and go, okay, is this actually this big scary thing? Am I being eaten by a bear? No, I'm not. I'm sitting here in my pajamas about to go to bed, and I'm safe and I'm breathing and I'm good. And this is all fine. And I actually, now looking at it, can see I have a solution for this, this, and this. Or this actually doesn't even matter at all. And I just needed to get it out of my head. And now that I see it, I'm like, huh, I feel so much better that I've emptied my brain. And writing it is literally, as I said in a previous episode, it's one of the pathways to help us release the stress, to release that energy that needs to move out of the body. So writing can be really, really great before bed to help calm the mind. Because again, everything really comes back to the mind. When we notice our environment, when we notice what we're watching, what we're reading, what we're listening to, who we're speaking with, how we're speaking to ourselves, what we're thinking, it all comes back to this conversation within our mind. So those are incredibly helpful with getting us ready for sleep. In addition to that, once you've maybe created this beautiful nesting environment that feels soothing for your body, then you might want to enjoy some gentle movement or stretching as a way to communicate, body, we're getting ready for bed now. So maybe you do lay on the ground in your living room. This is what I do. I literally lay on the carpet and I stretch and I draw my knees into my chest and I draw some circles laying on my back and just releasing my low back by drawing knees to chest and laying on your back. It's really helpful. Sometimes I do a supported bridge where you're laying on your back, feet are on the mat or feet are on the ground, knees are bent, you lift your hips, you can slide a pillow under your hips and lower your hips back down on the pillow. And that's super grounding for the body, bringing the thigh bones into the hip sockets and everything is just relaxing into the ground. It can feel really wonderful to lay on your tummy and just lay fully flat on your tummy, hands under forehead, resting on the ground, breathing, maybe inhaling for 4, exhaling for a count of 6 or 8, and just communicating to the body we're going to sleep soon. That can be really, really helpful. There are other poses as well that help, and I'll link them here. I have a video on YouTube that are a few key poses for helping to really down regulate the body for sleep. And then the breathing exercises of elongating the exhale. It really helps us to kick in our parasympathetic nervous system. It helps us to like trigger that vagus nerve to communicate, rest, and digest so that we're slowing down and our body is getting ready to sleep. So inhaling for 4, exhaling for 8 or 6 can be really, really great as a tool to help you relax as well. And the other part, obviously, too, is reduced screen time. So I know for myself, I really focus on not being on screens an hour before bed now. I make a point to read and to do some stretching and then to just lay in a bit of a meditation for a moment on the ground and focus on my breathing. And that is my nighttime routine. I start it with writing out my gains and my gratitude and the goals and just keeping that there and then reading for a bit, allowing that to slow some things down. I drink herbal tea, which is specific for sleep. So that also communicates to my body like soothing vibes. Let's start to go to sleep. So that is something I do. I take magnesium. That is something I do. Again, I'm not a physician, so do not take this verbatim as like a medical thing. This is just tools that help me with my own sleep from my own trial and error of the past decade. So you can see what is best for you and talk to your medical provider as well for more resources and yeah, just information. But I find that to be very, very helpful. And the other part as well is noticing how close to bed you eat dinner. I know sometimes I do have later dinners. It happens. Ideally, you really want to have like 3 hours before you go to bed, once you like after you've had dinner, so that you have time to digest before you go to bed. I know the nights when I eat dinner and try to go to bed an hour later, I usually have a very weird sleep and it just does not go well. So for my own experience, it's optimal that I'm eating like 3 hours before bed, that I'm off screens an hour before bed, and that I'm reading books that are soothing for my brain and my body, followed by my stretching and breathing. So, yeah, I hope these are helpful to you. Again, this is my own experience, trial and error. This is what clients share with me as reflections of what is helpful in their sleep journey. And when we are navigating high levels of stress and when we are moving through big waves of grief and sadness and processing these deeper emotions. I know it can feel quite intense, and our thoughts can really get the best of us and can keep us awake. So, even one of these tools might be incredibly helpful to you to start with. Instead of trying to do everything at once, that might feel overwhelming. So, you might start with 1 or even 2 things, and then explore more from there. So again, as always, thank you for listening. Please comment, ask questions, reach out, like and share, and I will see you again soon. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye.